Hi, welcome to Healthy Minds. I'm Brittany Pope. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and in partnership with Ketchikan Wellness Coalition, we are here today with Wish, and we're going to start over here and let Samantha introduce herself.
My name is Samantha Funk. I'm also a licensed professional counselor. I work for Wish as the youth victims of crime counselor in the secondary school, so it's K-High, Schoenbar, Revilla, and then a couple grades in the charter school.
Okay, and we've got...
My name is Adrienne Gaines, and I am the new children's clinician doing mental health counseling in all of the elementary schools.
So let's shift, just because you're talking, let's shift to what grade is elementary school?
So some of the elementary schools do have pre-K, and those are included, but it's usually kindergarten through 5th or 6th grade, I believe.
Okay. So kind of the gamut of age ranges, and then you do, what's your age range, Samantha?
12 to 18, but primarily that's 7th through 12th. Charter school, I think their middle school starts on 6th grade, so I would take those two.
And can someone give us just a brief, either one of you, whoever the winner is, a brief overview of what Wish is and what they do in the community, and then we'll go into your specific programs.
I guess I've been there just a touch longer. So it's Women in Safe Homes, Wish. They provide a lot of services for the community in general. They're probably most well known in this community right now for their domestic violence shelter. But we also have a lot of community programs. So we've got the school-based mental health counseling. We've got children and family kind of services with parenting classes and helping families with individual and family in kind of a group therapy sort of setting. We do a lot of prevention work. So we've got individuals that go into the schools and teach safe and unsafe touch. They teach curricula in the health classes as far as safe relationships. We do programs in the summer, Girls on the Run, that kind of stuff. And so there's a lot of programs that we do. We are more than the shelter, although the shelter is a big part of what we do.
So tell us a little bit about your program and what the goal is in the elementary schools.
So our goal is to, the grant was written, kind of coming off the tails of Samantha's work in the high schools, but a way to provide a low barrier resource for mental health therapy for kids in the schools. It's free, there's no insurance, it's all proceeds are covered by Wish. The only requirement is a referral from a school staff member or a parent, and they can make referrals online, they can make them in person, and then I'm connected with the students in that school and can start. It will look like probably weekly therapy, and in that time while I'm working with them is when, if it looks like long-term care would be needed, that I would assist the family or the school in placing them on a wait list for long-term care, but then providing that interim service until their spot opens up on the wait list.
That's huge because, like we know, there is so much need for mental health services in this community, and then not enough people because, like you guys both know, we're all professional counselors. There's not very many of us in this state in general. And so just to have that interim service where it's like a 6-week wait list, or I know that some agencies in town aren't taking kids, or they're not, or some private practices in town aren't taking kids. So it's very limited, the services that we have in this community for kids. So to hear that you're providing interim services. So if a parent refers their child to you and says, I'm seeing some change in behavior, I'm seeing some stressors at home, could you support them? Do they have to sign, is it like traditional therapy where they need to do an assessment, an intake, kind of creates a barrier, right? Is that the setup of this type of therapy, or do they just come in and start services with you?
It's really easy. They can come in, they can talk to someone at school, they can reach out to me directly, but it's really just someone recognizes a need for a kid, and then I can jump in and start and kind of make an initial assessment of the situation and what their needs might be. But certainly there's no formal intake, kind of longer process that would be a barrier for a lot of families.
Yeah. Well, and it's when you get handed a 30-page intake packet, it can be really frustrating. So just to have that gatekeeper, and I'm sure, let's say you do refer people out because, you're more of a short-term service, would someone at Wish be able to help them with the intake process and the transition process to the new agency?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and the beauty of this service is that we are not tied to some of the more traditional standards, in that I can work with families on a somewhat case management level at the same time as I'm providing services to the student. So I can help fill out paperwork, I can help, make referrals for appointments or suggest other services.
Wow, that's
So,
incredible.
yeah.
So you're really kind of like a holistic approach to them getting into the next step. So you're like a ladder to get them to
Yeah.
wherever they are going to land permanently.
Yes.
I think that's an awesome service. So do you have an office in every elementary school? How does that work? Is that still in development?
It's still in development.
Okay.
I will have a space on a certain day of the week at each elementary school. It will be
Okay.
the same day every week, and the space is still being determined. It might be the guidance counselor's office on Mondays at Houtling, or a back room somewhere at TSAS on Wednesdays. It's just going to be
Okay.
flexible.
It's going to be a puzzle.
Yes.
It sounds like. And so if you're at Houtling on Monday and I want to get a hold of you at Houtling on Monday, how do I do that?
Email or phone. I'm not sure if drop-in hours are a thing for parents at all, but just contacting by email and phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would they contact the main Wish office or would they contact you directly?
They would contact me directly. They can also submit requests for services online through
Okay.
Wish's website.
That's really great that you guys have that, because I think that can also be a barrier, picking up the phone and calling.
Mm-hmm.
So to have that email option and then just an online request so they can find you, because it sounds like you're going to be a little bit maybe more mobile than you. So
yeah.
where are you located, and tell us a little bit about your program, Sam.
So I am, my primary office is in K-High. I'm there Monday through Thursday, pretty much all day. I do visit Revilla Monday afternoons.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we were able to get in there this year. And the vast majority of my hours are drop-in. I do have a handful of kids that have regularly scheduled appointments, a lot of it through that same Google form. Same setup, a little different questions because the age group is different. But and then we've got representation in Schoenbar, and youth can make appointments. If a Revilla youth is like, oh man, Friday's the only day I can, then I'll pop over there on a Friday to see a kid. I just have certain hours that are set up for kids who do, it's a crisis of the day, right?
Right.
Kids to pop in. But no, primarily I'm in K-High, just by virtue, I think, of that's the majority of the students happen to be there.
What are trends that you guys are? Well, I guess you're more in the schools, and we're getting you jumped off the jumping off point. What are some of the common things that you're seeing in the schools that this service is really helpful with?
I get a lot of stress in the schools. Kids come in with just stress and different issues around stress. I've worked with kids who, they just need one session to help out with, man, I'm behind in all my classes. I've got so many assignments to do and I don't know what to do about it. We'll sit there and look for planner apps on their phone, or, talk about, hey, what teachers, who are your flexible teachers that you can kind of, prioritize or whatever. But I get just as many kids with stress related to their own mental health or someone else's. It kind of runs a gamut.
Do you also then transition kids to longer term services if they need it? So it's very similar setup to Adrian's program.
Very, very similar. I have a little more flexibility, I think, in the number of times I can see a kid.
Okay.
Our grant basically kind of, says, it's an interim service. Here go, once a kid's on the wait list, I can still see them. And one of the things that we found is a lot of times if I continue to work with a kid, I mean, some of these wait lists, are like 6 months long, right? And so if I'm continuing to work with a kid through the wait list, they might end up dropping off the wait list because they found, oh, I don't actually need, that much more. My boxes are checked off or whatever.
I'm getting enough coping skills or time to dump this information with you in a short term. And I think that's the hard thing about therapy too, is like therapy can be short term. And I think people see it as, well, if I sign up, I'm going every week for the rest of my life. And that's not the case. I think, like you said, if you're really solution focused and you get people in the door, get them the coping skills and work with them for that short period of time, they're getting a bang for their buck because it's covered by grants. And they're also getting these awesome coping skills that they're going to take with them and remember and be like, hey, I know how to deal with this. I know how to deal with this homework stress. There's an app on my phone or, so it sounds like you guys are doing really concrete things with kids and young adults, young teens. It's huge, huge. How do you guys support families?
So, and on mine, I think it's pretty different because on mine, the vast majority of the youth that I see are kind of just needing it for themselves. There is much less family involvement, and not that can't take place. I've definitely had 2 or 3 clients where their family is a big part of what's going on, and more of honestly building their self-advocacy and their communication skills, and that needed to take place in a family therapy kind of system.
Right.
Vast majority of my kids, though, they're not. That's not necessarily a need that they have. For my kind of program, if family therapy is a significant need, that's where we find a referral source.
Got it.
And find a family, find somebody that can work with them to see the kid once or twice a week and the family once a week. Because that's where I think I can't always accommodate.
Right.
The elementary, though, family's a little bit bigger of a...
Yeah, I think the family will play, family, parent, guardian, whoever's in the life of the kid, will play a little bit more of a role in that the younger kids aren't walking themselves into my office recognizing a need.
Right.
So it's coming from an adult in their life.
Right.
It's coming from a teacher or a parent. And also part of my services will be the benefit of communicating back with the parent and also with teachers and staff about
Huge.
the possible mental health barriers that were there for that kid and what we can change at school, in the classroom, or at recess, or wherever those kind of issues are bubbling out, that we can navigate and kind of find coping skills with the other adults as well.
Yeah, well, and it's huge with any age, but especially littles. It's huge that they have that family support around them because things aren't going to get better if we don't involve the parents, right?
Right.
And or the concerned adults that are supporting that child. So we've learned about your programs. We've learned about what WISH does. How I mean, in this crazy time of COVID, and we can start, either one of you, I know you guys are just dying to talk more. How can parents support their kids at home? Like, what are maybe a couple takeaways for parents to be able to, support their kiddos from real professionals for free on your TV? What are some things that you guys could leave parents with of how to support their kiddos or older kids?
Yeah, I would say for the younger kids, certainly, and we had talked about this, just keeping kids busy, keeping them engaged and involved in activities or sports or groups, that finding those areas, especially if we're kind of confined to less public spaces, that we can keep our kids engaged and, create that feeling of a structure in their day. It can go a long way.
I think of just something as simple as tot gym at the gymnastics club or gym stuff at the gymnastics club. But then you throw COVID in there and some people don't even want to leave. Is there something at home that parents could connect into? Do you guys have something virtually at WISH that you guys provide parents that maybe, or is there something this is a great resource that parents could do with their kids? And I might be picking your brain a little bit.
We do have a virtual parenting course.
Oh, awesome.
It's offered on a rotating basis, but I think you can jump in at any time.
Okay.
I don't have all of the details about
Okay.
that, but there is a virtual positive parenting, I think.
Yeah, and all of our services too, we do telehealth. We
Awesome.
have a
Okay.
we have a secure. It's called Theranest. It's electronic health record essentially, and you can do telehealth sessions through that. So if you're not comfortable coming into an office, or it's just flat out not convenient,
Which is the nice thing about telehealth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is all accessible.
I mean, you guys are pretty much accessible. Like being able to do potentially when you get up and running, what's your hope is it next year to get up and running, or is it
No,
sooner?
our hope is in the next couple of weeks.
Oh,
We'd like to
okay,
be
so
ready.
really soon. So in
Yeah.
the next couple of weeks, maybe we'll just put a month on there because let's
Yeah.
add some Ketchikan
Yeah.
Island time. But in the next month, you'll be up and running with a different day at each elementary school. And like I asked Adrian with the littles, is there anything with the teens or younger teens that parents can do to support them during this time of COVID? It may not to keep them busy, but just what are some things to look out for with your teen if there's any concerns, and how can you support them?
One of the things, and I have actually had parents ask me that. One of the biggest things is, like, your kid. I mean, you live with your kid, all day long, right? In theory, you will notice some change in them before anybody else will. And I tell teachers the same thing, that they've got these kids an hour every single day of the week. They will notice things before anybody else does. So parents, obviously, even more so. And so if you notice something, don't second guess that. Your kid, and if their eating habits change, if their sleeping habits suddenly change, no one thing is like a complete and total, crisis disaster. But when you start noticing, like, oh, there's quite a few things that have changed in this kid in the last couple weeks, don't sell that short. That's the time to check in with them. And if you don't feel like they're comfortable being completely honest with you, which that's a hard conversation to have between two people, no matter how old they are, but I think it's especially difficult for a teenager and their parent, or can be, I guess. Have that conversation with them, and if you notice or think that they're not giving you the whole story, or that they're just not comfortable, going there, find them someone to talk to, and barriers come up all over the place, and it is not easy, but don't let yourself just get put on a wait list, and that's part of what we're here for, is if you're getting the runaround from other places or wait lists. And Ketchikan, it's wait lists of 6 months isn't weird here. It shouldn't be that way, and ideally, obviously, it wouldn't, but it is what it is. You are your kid's best advocate. You are your family's best advocate. And we're one of the places that people can stop to first and say, hey, I need to get my kid into this. How do I? And we will walk through that with a family. That's what we're here for.
I love that you say don't let your kid get put on a wait list. I think that's really powerful. So it's, if you see a shift in behavior, address it, whether it's you address it or getting them in to see someone. So I think that's great advice for especially COVID times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you both. It's actually been really educational for me. I didn't know what all you both did. And so it's really nice as a professional to be able to refer to you guys in the community too, because I can't take on everybody. If I could, I would totally do that. And I don't, work with young littles. So it's nice to have a resource other than the few people in town that work with, our elementary school population. So thank you to Adrienne and Samantha for their time today, and Ketchikan, be well.